When I was looking for my late wife's necklace, the only thing I had left of her, my daughter coldly announced, "The necklace has been sold. I needed the money for a vacation." Shocked by her betrayal, I called the pawn shop to get it back. They said, "Sir, you won't believe what we found when we opened the locket on the pendant." This secret revealed the truth about my family. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is where you are now. I stood in my bedroom staring at the empty velvet box, my hands trembling against the open drawer. The box sat there like an accusation, its cream satin interior holding nothing but the ghost of what should have been there, Eleanor's necklace, the gold chain with the heart locket she'd worn every single day for 40 years. Gone. Downstairs, Jennifer's voice cut through the morning air, sharp commands about breakfast. Michael's laughter boomed from the living room, some sports announcer yelling underneath. Amber's phone conversation drifted up the stairs, complaints about being stuck here, about Phoenix being boring, about wanting to get back to California already. Today was Eleanor's birthday, 3 years since she'd passed, and I'd planned to spend the morning alone with that necklace, the only piece of her I had left that still felt warm somehow. Instead, I faced this hollow box and the chaos of my family, treating my home like their personal hotel. I pulled the drawer out completely, dumping socks onto the bed. Nothing. Got on my knees, checked under the dresser. Dust and an old receipt. My chest tightened. I moved to the closet, patting down coat pockets, checking shoe boxes on the shelf. My breathing came faster. The bathroom next. I yanked open the medicine cabinet, pulled out the drawers beneath the sink. Q-tips scattered across the tile floor. Where was it? Where was it? I checked impossible places. The nightstand drawer I'd already searched twice. Behind the headboard. Under the mattress. My hands shook harder now. That steady tremor of panic I hadn't felt since the hospital, since those last hours with Eleanor, when nothing I did could stop what was coming. 42 years of marriage, and that necklace was all I'd kept. Her clothes donated, her books given to the library, her garden tools rusting in the shed because I couldn't bear to use them. But the necklace, I kept that in its box, safe, untouched, except on days like today when I needed to remember her face. I walked downstairs, each step deliberate. In the living room, Michael sprawled across my couch, feet up on the armrest, bag of chips balanced on his chest. He didn't look up. I stepped over Amber's shopping bags clustered near the stairs, navigated around the coffee table she'd shoved out of place. Jennifer stood at the kitchen counter, phone in one hand, knife in the other, chopping vegetables with aggressive precision. Thunk! 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 "Jennifer," I said. "Have you seen—" "I'm busy, Dad." She didn't look up. "It's important. Eleanor's necklace is—" "Check your room. You probably forgot where you put it." The knife kept hitting the cutting board. Thunk. Thunk. "I did check my room," I said, working to keep my voice level. "I've checked everywhere. The necklace is gone." She sighed, that particular exhale she'd perfected over the past 2 years since they'd moved in. The one that said I was an inconvenience. A burden she'd graciously agreed to shoulder. "No one wants your old stuff, Dad. It was your mother's." My throat felt tight. "The only thing I kept." "Then you should have been more careful with it." I stood there watching her chop celery into violent little pieces, and something in my chest went cold. Not hot anger, cold, like the temperature dropping before a storm. "Jennifer, please!" I made myself say it quietly. "I need to know what happened to it." She finally stopped, set down the knife, turned to face me, and her eyes held no warmth at all. Hadn't in years, really, but I'd been fooling myself, hadn't I? Telling myself this was still my daughter, Eleanor's daughter, the girl who used to bring us dandelions from the yard. "Fine," she said. "I sold it. Dessert something pawn shop, over on Thomas Road." The words didn't make sense at first. Sold it. My daughter sold Eleanor's necklace. What? "We needed $800 for Hawaii. You said no when I asked, so I found another way." Her voice held no apology, no recognition that she'd done anything wrong. She picked up the knife again, resumed chopping. From the living room, Michael's voice drifted over, lazy and satisfied. "It was just sitting there, Wilbur. Eleanor's gone. Dead people don't need jewelry." He didn't even sit up to say it. Kept his eyes on the television, scratched his stomach, reached for another handful of chips. The casual nature of it somehow made it worse than if he'd been angry, confrontational. This was just obvious to him. Of course they'd sold it. Why wouldn't they? On the stairs, Amber laughed, that bright, empty sound of someone who finds genuine pain hilarious. "Grandpa, you're being dramatic. It's just a necklace. Mom got us an awesome vacation." I looked at her, really looked. 23 years old, Eleanor's granddaughter, and she had the same empty eyes as her mother. When had that happened? Or had I just been refusing to see it? "Your grandmother wore that every day for 40 years, I said quietly. Amber shrugged, already turning away, phone back to her ear. "Well, now someone else gets to wear it. Circle of life, or whatever." I stood in my kitchen in the house Eleanor and I had bought in 1985, the house we'd filled with 42 years of memories, and looked at these three people, my daughter, her husband, her daughter. They stared back with the collective expression of people waiting for an inconvenience to remove itself. I turned and walked to my bedroom, closed the door behind me with a soft click, sat on the edge of the bed. The empty velvet box sat on the dresser where I'd left it. I picked it up, opened it, closed it, opened it again, closed it. The mechanical motion calmed something in me. Or maybe it wasn't calm. Maybe it was something else entirely. My hands had stopped trembling. I sat there for a long time, the box resting on my knees, and felt something shift inside my chest. Not breaking. I'd broken 3 years ago when Eleanor died. This was different. This was a settling, a hardening, a clarity I hadn't possessed an hour ago. They'd sold Eleanor's necklace for a vacation. Jennifer had gone into my bedroom, into my private drawer, taken the one thing I treasured, and exchanged it for spending money. And Michael and Amber saw nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. I stood, placed the box carefully back on the dresser, and reached for my phone on the nightstand. My hands stayed steady as I opened the browser and typed, "Pawn Shops Phoenix." My finger hovered over the phone screen, scrolling through the list of pawn shops scattered across Phoenix. The empty velvet box sat beside me on the bed, a small square witness to what I was about to do. My hand didn't shake anymore. That surprised me more than anything else from this morning. I started calling. The first shop, Lucky Star Pawn, didn't have it. The woman who answered sounded bored. The second shop, Cash Express, put me on hold for 6 minutes before telling me no. The third had closed permanently. The fourth didn't answer. I sat on my bed for each call, describing the necklace the same way every time. Gold chain, heart locket, inscription inside reads, "Forever, W&E. 14 karat. Bought yesterday, probably." Each time, I thanked them politely and moved to the next number. Jennifer's voice occasionally drifted up from downstairs, giving orders to someone. Michael's sports announcers provided a steady background rumble. I ignored it all. The sixth call went differently. "Desert Gold Pawn, this is Harold. I'm looking for a gold necklace with a heart locket," I said. "It was sold to you yesterday." A pause. "Oh yes, I remember that piece. Beautiful craftsmanship. Are you the husband?" My chest tightened. "I am. My wife passed 3 years ago." "I'm very sorry." His voice held genuine sympathy. "Sir, there's something you should know about that locket." I straightened. "What do you mean?" When I was examining it, the locket opened. There was a small note inside. The room tilted slightly. "A note? I didn't know it opened." I removed it carefully, didn't want to damage it. Has numbers written on it. Bank something. 40 years. 40 years of marriage. And I'd never known the locket opened. Eleanor had worn it against her skin every single day, and I'd never thought to look for a clasp, never tried to open it. "Did you tell the woman who sold it?" I asked. "She was already gone." Honestly, I'm not sure she knew the locket opened either. She seemed in a hurry. Of course she had. Jennifer racing to convert my wife's jewelry into vacation money. She probably hadn't even looked at it closely, just saw gold and dollar signs. "I need to buy it back," I said. "How much?" I gave her $800. Fair value is closer to $1,200. It's 14 karat gold, and the craftsmanship is exceptional. "I'll pay the $1,200. Can I get it today?" "Come by any time before 6. I'll hold it for you. And sir," he paused, "I won't resell this to anyone else. It's yours." I thanked him, got the address, and sat for a moment looking at the phone in my hand. Eleanor had hidden something in that locket. A note with bank information. What else hadn't she told me? I stood, pocketed my wallet and keys, and walked downstairs. The family didn't look up as I passed through the living room. Michael's feet still claimed the couch, Amber hunched over her phone on the love seat, Jennifer somewhere in the back of the house. I walked out the front door into the November sunshine. The drive to Midtown took 30 minutes. I programmed the address into my phone's GPS and followed the calm voice through familiar streets, turned strange by purpose. Strip malls and auto shops and the occasional palm tree, Phoenix spreading out flat and beige in every direction. Desert gold. Pawn occupied a corner storefront between a nail salon and a tax preparation office. Bars on the windows, but clean bars. A neat sign. I parked in front and sat for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, preparing myself. Inside, the shop smelled like old leather and metal polish. Glass cases lined the walls, filled with jewelry and watches and cameras. A small man in his 50s stood behind the counter, gray hair neatly trimmed, reading glasses perched on his nose. "Mr. Davis?" he asked. "That's me?" "Harold Chen." He extended his hand and I shook it. "Let me get your necklace." He disappeared into a back room and returned carrying a small bundle wrapped in soft cloth. He unfolded it carefully on the counter, and there it was. Eleanor's necklace, the gold catching the fluorescent light, looking exactly as I remembered it, looking against her collarbone every morning for 4 decades. "The young woman who sold it," Harold said quietly. "Early 40s, seemed in a hurry. Didn't want to negotiate. I gave her 800 because that's fair for the weight, but I knew immediately it was worth more." He paused. "She your daughter?" I didn't answer that, just pulled out my wallet and counted out $1,200 bills. Harold had already prepared the paperwork. He pushed a small envelope across the counter. "The note," he said. "I put it in here for safekeeping." "Thank you," I managed. "Take care of it this time," he said gently. I drove 3 blocks before I had to pull over. My hands were shaking again, emotion flooding back now that the task was complete and I was alone. I parked in a shopping center lot, truck facing the afternoon sun streaming through the windshield. The necklace felt heavier than I remembered. I held it up to the light, turning it slowly, looking for the clasp Harold had mentioned. There, so tiny I'd never noticed it before, a small indentation on the side of the heart. I pressed it with my thumbnail. The locket sprang open. Inside, rolled impossibly tight, a piece of paper no bigger than my pinky nail. I used my fingernails to extract it, unrolled it carefully against my thigh. Eleanor's handwriting, microscopic, but unmistakable. Bank of Arizona, box number 4782. I sat in my truck staring at those words until the sun shifted and the windshield glare became too much. Eleanor had a safety deposit box at Bank of Arizona, box number 4782, and she'd never told me. I drove home in a daze, parked in the driveway, walked past my family still planted in their same positions, like permanent fixtures, up to my bedroom. I stood at the window, watching the sun sink toward the horizon, the necklace clutched in one hand, the note in the other. What had Eleanor hidden from me, and why? That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed turning the questions over and over, the necklace on my chest where Eleanor used to wear it, feeling the slight weight of the gold, wondering what other secrets she'd kept. Morning came slowly. I showered, dressed in my good khakis and a button-down shirt, and drove downtown to Bank of Arizona's main branch on Washington Street. The building rose 10 stories, glass and steel and intimidating. I walked through the revolving door into a marble lobby that echoed with quiet conversations and clicking heels. A young woman at the information desk looked up with a professional smile. Her name tag read, Lisa. "I need to access the safety deposit box," I said. "Of course. Do you have the box number and identification?" I showed her Eleanor's death certificate. I'd brought it, some instinct telling me I'd need it, and my driver's license. Lisa examined both carefully. "I'll need to see ID and your wife's death certificate. You're listed as surviving spouse?" "Yes. Married 42 years. She typed information into her computer, nodding. "The box was opened last in 2019. 6 years ago. No activity since." 2019. Eleanor had been diagnosed in early 2022. She'd set this up 3 years before she got sick, before either of us knew what was coming. My wife passed in 2022, I said. She must have set this up before. Lisa's professional mask softened slightly. Take all the time you need in the privacy room, Mr. Davis. I'll walk you through the process. She led me through a heavy door into a vault room, walls of metal drawers, each with 2 keyholes. Lisa used her key and the box number to slide out a long metal container. She handed it to me, heavier than I expected, and guided me to a small windowless room with a table and chair. I'll be outside when you're finished, she said quietly, and closed the door. I sat alone, the metal box on the table in front of me, and couldn't make myself open it. My hands rested on either side of it, feeling the cold metal, and I thought about Eleanor 6 years ago coming to this same room, putting something inside this box, locking it away without telling me. Finally, I lifted the lid. Stacks of cash. $100 bills in envelopes, organized with rubber bands. I counted quickly. $20,000 at least. Maybe more. And underneath it all, a sealed envelope. My name in Eleanor's careful handwriting. Wilbur. I picked up the letter, held it against my chest with my eyes closed. She'd known. Somehow, she'd known something was wrong. Known I'd need this. Known Jennifer would. My hands found the envelope's seal. I broke it carefully, unfolded the paper inside. My fingers broke the seal carefully, the paper crackling in the silence of the privacy room. I unfolded 2 pages covered in Eleanor's handwriting, that neat, measured script I'd seen on grocery lists and birthday cards for 42 years. My breathing went shallow as I began to read. My dearest Wilbur, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and you've found what I've hidden. The first line hit me like a physical blow. Her voice came through so clearly I could almost hear it. That slight rasp she'd developed in her 50s, the way she'd pause between thoughts. I saved this money over 30 years. Small amounts from each paycheck you never noticed. Don't be angry with me for the secrecy. I did it because I love you and I know what's coming. I read faster, my hand trembling against the table's edge. Jennifer has always been difficult. Remember when she was 25 and demanded we pay for her wedding, then didn't invite your brother because he couldn't give an expensive gift? I saw her true nature then, the way she treats people as transactions, the way nothing is ever enough. I did remember. Eleanor had been upset for weeks, but I'd dismissed it as normal wedding stress, mother-daughter tension. I'd made excuses for Jennifer. After I'm gone, she'll see you as nothing more than a resource to drain. Michael will encourage it. He's always been a user. You know that, even if you won't say it. And Amber learns from her parents? I'm sorry to write these things, but you need to hear them. My jaw clenched. Eleanor had tried to warn me subtly over the years. Little comments I'd brushed aside as over-criticism, as a mother being too hard on her daughter. But she'd seen clearly what I'd refused to acknowledge. These savings are for you, my dear. $27,000. To protect yourself when you finally see what I saw. Don't let them turn you into a victim. You're stronger than you know. Be strong. Live for yourself. The house, the money, everything, it's yours. You worked for it. Don't let them take it out of guilt or obligation. I stopped reading, pressed the letter against my chest. 27,000. Plus what was in the box, I'd counted quickly, estimated over 20,000 more. Eleanor had saved nearly $50,000 without me knowing. How had I not noticed? All those years of her working night shifts at the hospital, picking up extra hours, and I'd thought it was just her dedication to nursing. The final paragraph. I wish I could be there to protect you, but I trust you'll know what to do when the time comes. You've always been thoughtful, methodical, careful. Use those strengths now. Don't be pushed around, and know that I love you more than anything in this world. Forever yours, Eleanor. I sat in that small room and reread certain passages. The wedding incident, the warning about Michael, the instructions to be strong. Every word felt like validation I hadn't known I desperately needed. Eleanor had seen everything, understood everything, and she'd prepared for this moment. I folded the letter precisely, placed it in my jacket pocket, over my heart. The cash stayed in the box, too much to carry safely, and I wasn't sure yet what I'd do with it. I stood, pushed the chair in, opened the door. Lisa looked up from her desk. All finished, Mr. Davis? Yes, thank you for your help. You're welcome. If you need to access the box again, just call ahead. I walked through the marble lobby, my footsteps echoing. Outside, afternoon sunlight hit me like a wall, harsh and unforgiving. I sat in my truck for 10 minutes, staring through the windshield at the parking garage's concrete wall opposite me, not really seeing it. Eleanor always having my back, even now, even from beyond. I touched the necklace under my shirt, felt the warm metal against my skin. The drive home happened on autopilot. Traffic lights, turn signals, merging lanes. At a red light on Central Avenue, I pressed my palm against the letter in my pocket. A horn blared behind me. The light had turned green. I drove forward, my mind processing everything I'd read. Home looked different when I pulled into the driveway. I sat watching through the front window before I got out. Jennifer on the couch, feet tucked under her, phone pressed to her ear, laughing at something. Michael sprawled in my recliner, Eleanor's 30th anniversary gift to me, the brown leather worn to the shape of my body. Amber at the kitchen table, bottles of nail polish scattered, cotton balls everywhere, painting her nails bright pink. My house, my space, occupied like conquered territory. I walked inside. Nobody looked up. Jennifer noticed the necklace first. The chain was visible at my collar where I'd tucked it inside my shirt. Her eyes fixed on it, and her expression hardened. Is that Mom's necklace? You got it back? I touched it protectively. Yes. She stood, phone lowered. Hand it over. We sold it. That makes it ours now. You can't just take it back. I bought it back. Paid $1,200. Her face flushed. With whose money? You're living on a fixed income. That's our inheritance you're wasting. Our inheritance. As if I were already dead. As if everything I owned already belonged to them. Michael pushed himself up from the recliner, moved closer. Jennifer's right. You're spending money that should go to family. It was my wife's necklace. Your dead wife. He said it casually, like commenting on the weather. You've got to move on, Wilbur. Face reality. Reality. Yeah, you're old. This house is too big for you anyway. Sign it over now. Save everyone the trouble later. I looked at him, really looked, saw the calculation in his eyes, the barely concealed eagerness. He wasn't even pretending anymore. None of them were. From the table, Amber chimed in without looking up from her nails. Grandpa, you're being selfish. Mom and Dad need security. They live here rent-free. That's what family does. We take care of each other. Is that what this is? I asked quietly. Care? Nobody answered that. Jennifer crossed her arms. Michael's jaw worked like he wanted to say more. Amber blew on her wet nails. I walked to my bedroom and closed the door. The soft click of the latch felt final somehow. I sat on the bed, took out Eleanor's letter, unfolded it, reread the final paragraph. Be strong. Live for yourself. I placed the letter carefully in my nightstand drawer. From my desk, I retrieved a yellow legal pad and pen. Sat down at the desk Eleanor had bought at an estate sale years ago, the surface scarred and solid. At the top of the first page, I wrote, March 17th, actions taken. Below it, I began a list. The first item, 1. Document everything. I woke before dawn on March 18th, the legal pad on my nightstand filled with notes from the previous night. I'd spent hours after the confrontation thinking, planning, writing, my engineering training coming back, identify the problem, gather data, develop solutions, execute systematically. I dressed quietly in the dark. The house lay silent around me, my family still sleeping off their late night of television and complaining. I moved through the hallway like a ghost, each footstep deliberate and soft. In the living room, I photographed Michael's belongings spread everywhere. Work boots by the door. He didn't work. Jacket thrown over the couch arm. Remote controls. Chip bags. Beer cans on the side table. My coffee table shoved 3 feet from where it should be to accommodate his sprawl. The bathroom next. Amber's makeup covered every inch of counter space. Foundation bottles, lipsticks, palettes of eyeshadow, brushes standing in cups. I photographed it all. The guest room Eleanor had used for her crafts now served as Jennifer's closet. I opened the door, saw racks of clothes, shoes lined against the wall. Photographed that too. In the kitchen, I opened the refrigerator, every item purchased by me. I pulled the receipt from my wallet, $243 from 3 days ago. photographed the food, then the receipt beside it. The electric bill sat on the counter. $287, my name at the top, never reimbursed. I photographed that as well. Back in my bedroom by 6:30, I transferred the photos to my laptop, created folders, organized by date and category. This would be my evidence. Undeniable. Documented. Over the next 2 weeks, I became methodical about it, went through my filing cabinet, pulled documents I'd kept organized for years. The house deed, purchased 1905, paid off 2018, my name alone. Property tax records, all current, all paid by me. Utility bills going back 3 years, everyone showing zero contribution from Jennifer's family. On March 25th, when everyone left for the day, Jennifer to her part-time job at the dental office, Michael supposedly job hunting, Amber meeting friends, I installed the camera. I'd researched Arizona law carefully. Single-party consent for recording. My house, my right to secure it. I'd found a camera system online that disguised itself as a smoke detector, ordered it with 2 days shipping. The installation took an hour. I watched a tutorial on my laptop twice, then carefully removed the old smoke detector in the living room corner. The new unit looked identical but contained a wide-angle camera lens, barely visible behind the white plastic grating. I mounted it, tested the connection on my phone. Perfect view of the couch, the kitchen entrance, most of the main floor. I felt no guilt. This was my home, my property. They'd forfeited any expectation of privacy the moment they started plotting how to take everything from me. The recordings proved valuable quickly. By March 29th, I had hours of footage. That evening, I sat at my bedroom desk. Door locked, laptop open, watching. Jennifer's voice came through clearly. I can't believe he spent $1,200 on that necklace. That's our money. Michael, from the couch. He's being selfish. Old people get like that. When this house is ours, first thing I'm doing is remodeling. This place is stuck in 1985. Might not have to wait too long. He's what, 67? How many years he got left, really? I saved the clip, labeled it carefully. Evidence 329, Inheritance Discussion MP4. Another clip from April 1st showed Amber on the phone with a friend sitting on the stairs. My grandpa is such a pain. He got all weird about my mom selling some old necklace. The friend's voice faint. Why'd she sell it? We needed Hawaii money. He wouldn't give it to us, so Mom took care of it herself. Honestly, I'll be glad when this house is ours and we don't have to deal with his drama. My face remained impassive as I watched. Saved the clip. Added it to the growing folder. The financial forensics took longer. I pulled 3 years of bank statements, spread them across my desk, created a spreadsheet. Every loan to Michael went into the document with dates and amounts. $500 for car repairs in May 2022. $1,200 for emergency dental in August 2022. $2,000 for an investment opportunity in November 2022. On and on, month after month. I added formulas. Watched the total climb. By the time I finished, the number at the bottom read, 18,500 Mauers. The actual repayment column contained nothing but zeros. I printed the spreadsheet, added it to my evidence folder. Found Jennifer's credit card statements mixed with my mail. She'd been using my address without asking. The Hawaii trip itemized clearly. $4,200 including flights, hotel, excursions, plus the $800 from selling Eleanor's necklace. By early April, my folder had grown thick with documentation. Photographs, videos, financial records, property documents, everything organized with tabs and labels. I sat at my desk one evening, the folder open before me, and knew it was time. I picked up my phone, searched Elder Law Attorneys Phoenix. Patricia Morrison's practice appeared third in the results. Protecting senior rights, experienced elder law attorney. I called the next morning. Her receptionist scheduled me for April 3rd at 2 p.m. The office building downtown rose 12 stories, glass and steel reflecting the desert sky. I parked in the garage, took the elevator to the 3rd floor. Patricia Morrison's name on a glass door, neat reception area with leather chairs and legal journals on a side table. The receptionist showed me to Patricia's office. She stood to greet me, 50-ish gray-streaked dark hair pulled back, business suit, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. She shook my hand firmly, gestured to a chair across from her organized desk. Mr. Davis, tell me what's going on. I placed my evidence folder on her desk. My daughter and her family have been living in my house for 3 years. They don't pay rent or contribute anything to expenses. They've been exploiting me financially, and they're waiting for me to die so they can take everything. Patricia's expression didn't change. She opened the folder, began reviewing documents, made notes on her own legal pad, asked questions in a sharp, efficient manner. Do they pay anything toward household expenses? No? Have you asked them to leave? Not formally. Good. We'll do this properly. She continued through the folder, watching video clips on my laptop, examining the spreadsheet, reading the property documents. 20 minutes of silence except for her occasional questions. Finally, she looked up. Mr. Davis, this documentation is excellent. Very thorough. How long has your daughter's family lived there? 3 years since my wife passed. And they've never paid rent, utilities, or contributed to household expenses? Not a dollar. Jennifer says family doesn't charge family. Patricia nodded, writing. Did you invite them to live there permanently, or was it supposed to be temporary? Temporary. Just until they found a place. That was 3 years ago. She set down her pen, folded her hands. Under Arizona law, they're tenants at will. You can establish rental terms at any time. What if they refuse to pay? Then we have grounds for eviction. But we do this by the book. Everything documented, everything legal. How long does eviction take? If they contest it, maybe 3 months. But with your evidence of their behavior, the financial exploitation documented this thoroughly. I don't think it'll take that long. Most people leave when they realize you're serious. I touched the necklace under my shirt. Eleanor's presence still guiding me, still protecting. My retainer is $3,000, Patricia said. That covers initial filings, drafting the rental agreement, and the first phase of eviction proceedings if needed. That's fine. She studied me for a moment. You're certain you want to do this? They're your family. My wife warned me this would happen. I should have listened sooner. Patricia pulled a retainer agreement from her drawer, placed it in front of me with a pen. Then let's get to work. I signed with a steady hand, my signature firm across the bottom line, slid the document back across her desk. She took it, placed it in a folder, her movements precise and professional. I'll have the rental agreement drafted by next week. We'll serve it formally and see how they respond. I stood, shook her hand again. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is just beginning. I walked out of her office into the hallway. The door closed behind me with a soft click that felt like something ending and something else beginning. The war had officially started. A week after signing Patricia's retainer, I sat at my bedroom desk reviewing the rental agreement she'd emailed. 3 pages, professionally formatted, dense with legal language. I read every clause twice, then a third time. Rent, $1,500 monthly, payable by the 1st of each month. Payment of 50% of utility costs. Respectful behavior toward the property owner and peaceful enjoyment of the premises. 30-day notice period if tenant fails to comply with stated terms. The market rate for comparable space in Phoenix ran around $2,200. Patricia had explained the strategy. Make the terms reasonable so no judge could call them punitive. This wasn't about gouging Jennifer. This was about establishing my rights as property owner and their status as tenants. I touched the necklace under my shirt. Eleanor would approve of this methodical approach. I clicked reply, typed, "This is perfect. Let's proceed." Hit send without hesitation. Patricia arranged for official service. On April 10th at 2 in the afternoon, a woman arrived at my door carrying a leather portfolio. Professional attire, all business. Deborah Klein, notary public. Jennifer appeared behind me. "Who's this?" I stepped aside, let Deborah enter. She moved to the dining table, opened her portfolio, removed the rental agreement and her notary seal. Jennifer hovered, suspicion radiating from her. "Ms. Thompson, I'm here to serve you with a rental agreement for this property." Deborah's voice carried formal weight. "Please read it and sign acknowledging receipt." Jennifer snatched the document. Her eyes moved rapidly across the first page. Her expression darkened with each line. $1,500 a month? Utilities? This is insane. "The document outlines terms of continued residency," Deborah said calmly. "You're not required to agree, only to acknowledge you've received it." "I'm not signing anything." Deborah made a notation on her form. "Noted. Service is complete regardless. You have 30 days to respond." Jennifer whirled on me. What is this? Some kind of joke? It's a rental agreement, legally required. We're your family. This house belongs to us. This house belongs to me. The deed is in my name. You're tenants. Tenants? Tenants? How dare you? Michael emerged from the living room, took the agreement from Jennifer's shaking hands, read it quickly, his face reddening. You're not thinking clearly, Wilbur. Maybe you need a doctor to evaluate your mental state. My mental state is fine. We'll see what a judge says. Competency hearing. We'll get guardianship. You're welcome to try. He stepped closer, using his height advantage. You have no idea what you're starting, old man. Deborah gathered her materials efficiently, clearly accustomed to hostile situations. She left without ceremony. The door closed behind her with a definitive click. The terms are reasonable, I said into the silence. Below market rate for rent in this neighborhood. We're not paying you rent, Jennifer's voice cracked. Then you need to leave. Michael's jaw worked. We're not going anywhere. You have 30 days. After that, the decision won't be yours anymore. I walked to my bedroom, closed the door, sat on the bed for a moment, breathing steadily. Through the walls, Jennifer's voice rose in fury. Michael's deeper rumble responded. Amber's higher pitch joined the chorus. I had other moves to make. The bank downtown took 30 minutes to reach. I parked in their garage, took the elevator up, asked for a manager. Marcus, early 30s, professional demeanor, led me to his office. How can I help you today, Mr. Davis? I slid Jennifer's old signature card across his desk. I need her removed from all access to my accounts. Marcus typed on his computer, frowned. She hasn't accessed the account recently, but there was an attempt last week, April 3rd. We denied it because she didn't have proper ID, but she claimed to be acting on your behalf. My jaw tightened. April 3rd. The same day I'd met with Patricia, Jennifer had tried to drain my accounts while I was securing legal representation. Remove her completely. New passwords. New security questions. I'll flag the account for fraud attempts as well. Marcus made notes. Would you like documentation of the attempted access? Yes. Print the security log. He did. I added it to my growing evidence folder. The next morning I met with Andrew Morrison, an estate specialist Patricia had recommended. His office occupied the second floor of a quiet building near Camelback Mountain. Andrew reviewed my existing will, everything to Jennifer, drafted 5 years ago, and set it aside, pulled out fresh documents. You're certain about these changes? Completely certain. I initialed each page. 3 beneficiaries: the Phoenix Homeless Coalition, the Memory Research Foundation, and the Arizona Elder Rights Advocacy Center. Organizations that did actual good in the world. Jennifer would receive nothing. Andrew witnessed my signature, applied his notary seal, sealed the document in an envelope, handed me a copy. Effective immediately, Mr. Davis. Thank you. Back home, I avoided the living room where my family congregated, heard Jennifer on the phone. I know, Mom's lawyer might help. I didn't know Eleanor's family attorney, but I doubted he'd take Jennifer's side once he understood the situation. The next few days, I documented everything. Michael accidentally blocking me in hallways. Jennifer going through my mail. I found several pieces opened and refolded, hidden in the kitchen drawer under dish towels, including Patricia's letter with detailed legal strategy. Federal crime, mail tampering. I photographed the violated envelopes, the hiding place, everything. April 14th, evening. I tried leaving my bedroom for dinner. Michael leaned against the wall directly outside my door. Excuse me. He didn't move. We need to talk about this rental nonsense. Move, please. He shifted slightly. Not enough. What if I don't? I'll call the police. He laughed. For what? I'm standing in a hallway. He eventually moved, but the message was clear. The hallway camera captured everything. His deliberate positioning, his refusal to move, his threatening posture. That same night, he escalated further. I was making tea in the kitchen when he entered, getting too close, invading my space. When I tried to step around him, he shoved me. Not hard enough to knock me down, but enough to make me stumble against the counter. Careful, old man. Accidents happen at your age. The rear camera captured it perfectly, his hand making contact, my body shifting from the force, his satisfied smirk. I didn't respond. Took my tea to my bedroom, locked the door. At my desk, I compiled everything methodically. Video of Michael blocking my door. Video of the push. Clear assault. Photos of intercepted mail. Bank notifications about Jennifer's access attempt. I created a folder. Emergency eviction evidence with organized subfolders. Wrote an email to Patricia detailing each violation. Attached the complete folder. Her response came within minutes. Call me immediately. This changes everything. I called. She answered on the first ring. Wilbur, the push is assault. The mail tampering is federal. The bank fraud attempt is elder exploitation. What does this mean? It means we're not waiting 30 days. I'm filing for emergency eviction based on domestic violence and financial abuse. How fast? Court hearing within 2 weeks. Bring all your evidence. They're going to regret escalating this. April 15th. Another notification from my bank appeared in my inbox. Jennifer had made a second attempt to access my account, this time claiming I'd granted her power of attorney. The bank denied it, flagged it as potential elder fraud. I forwarded the email to Patricia. Subject line, escalation. Message body, one word, more ammunition. I clicked send, watched the confirmation appear, closed the laptop slowly. Through my bedroom door, Jennifer and Michael's voices rose in argument, planning their next move, no doubt, still believing they held some cards. They had no idea what was coming. The next morning, I walked into my kitchen to find Jennifer sitting at the table with a stranger, a man in a cheap suit, briefcase open, papers spread before him. Jennifer's eyes were red-rimmed, tissues crumpled in her fist. She looked up. Dad, this is my attorney, Mr. Carlson. We need to talk. Robert Carlson stood, extended his hand. I shook it, but remained standing. Mr. Davis, I've reviewed the rental agreement you served on my client. He gestured to a chair. I didn't sit. I believe there's room for negotiation. The terms stand. Jennifer made pleading gestures from her seat. Carlson glanced at her, then back to me. Sir, may I speak frankly? He didn't wait for permission. You're well within your rights. The house is titled in your name alone. The rental terms are reasonable, actually below market rate. My legal advice to my client is to comply with the agreement or relocate. Jennifer's face crumbled. That can't be right. Tell him he's wrong, Dad. He's not wrong. Carlson closed his briefcase with a decisive snap. Ms. Thompson, your father owns this property outright. You're not on the deed, not on the mortgage history. There's no adverse possession claim after only 3 years. Familial relationship doesn't create property rights. Legally, you're a tenant at will, and he's establishing formal terms. But I'm his daughter. I have rights. Not to his property. I'm sorry. Carlson stood. Mr. Davis, if you'll excuse me. He left quickly, clearly wanting distance from Jennifer's mounting hysteria. The moment the door closed, Jennifer turned on me. I can't believe you're doing this. Mom would be devastated. Your mother left me a letter. She warned me about you. Jennifer froze. What letter? You're lying. She knew exactly who you were. She was right about everything. Her tears stopped as if a switch had flipped. Her voice hardened. You're going to regret this. She stormed to the guest room, slammed the door. I heard her on the phone immediately, voice rising and falling in complaint. Over the next days, she launched a systematic campaign. Knocked on my bedroom door midday, transformed into vulnerability. Clutched tissues, eyes swimming with manufactured tears. Dad, please, I'm not sleeping. I'm developing chest pains. The stress is killing me. She reached for my hand. I kept mine at my side. I've given up so much to be here with you after Mom died. How can you do this to me? I looked at her performance with detachment. Eleanor's letter had inoculated me against this manipulation. You have 29 days left. I closed the door. Her sobs sounded fake, even through the wood. Michael's approach was different. More direct, more physical. I tried leaving my bedroom the next morning. He was in the hallway, leaning against the wall, directly in front of my door. Not quite blocking it, but close enough that I'd have to squeeze past him. Excuse me. He didn't move. We need to talk about this rental nonsense. Move, please. He shifted his weight. Not enough to create passage. What if I don't? I'll call the police. For what? I'm standing in a hallway. His smile held no warmth. Waiting to use the bathroom. That a crime? He eventually moved, but not before making me turn sideways to pass. The hallway camera captured his deliberate positioning, his calculated intimidation. That afternoon, I found my mail in the kitchen drawer again. 3 days' worth, including another letter from Patricia. already opened. My hands shook as I photographed the evidence. Federal mail tampering. I sent the photos to Patricia immediately. The social pressure came from Amber. She'd been posting regularly since the rental agreement was served, crafting a narrative of victimhood for her followers. My neighbor, Mr. Chen, approached me at the mailbox. "Wilbur, I saw some posts online. Your granddaughter said, 'Well, is everything all right?' 'Everything's fine, Tom.' She made it sound like you're having some kind of episode. Memory problems, maybe? I'm establishing rental terms for my property, that's all." His expression showed he didn't quite believe me. "Right. Well, if you need anything—" He walked away quickly, leaving me standing alone with my mail. Across the street, Mrs. Patterson saw me, turned, and went inside without her usual wave. Amber's campaign was working. The neighborhood was turning against me based on lies posted to social media. April 14th was when Michael crossed the final line. I was making tea in the kitchen. He entered, moved too close. When I tried to step around him, he put his hand on my chest and pushed. Not hard enough to knock me down, but enough to make me stumble backward against the counter, enough that I had to catch myself on the edge. "Careful, old man. Accidents happen at your age." I said nothing, took my tea and left. Behind me, Jennifer's voice. "Michael, not in the house." But the camera had captured everything, his hand making clear contact, my body forced backward, his threatening tone. In my bedroom, I sat at my laptop and methodically compiled the evidence. Video clips organized by date and severity, photos of tampered mail, screenshots of bank fraud notifications, Amber's social media posts archived. I created a comprehensive timeline document, cross-referencing each incident with supporting evidence. Everything organized, everything documented, everything ready for court. I emailed the complete package to Patricia. Her response came quickly. "Perfect timing. Emergency hearing is scheduled for May 2nd, 2 weeks away. They won't know what hit them." That same afternoon, another notification arrived from my bank. Jennifer had attempted to access my account again, claiming I'd granted her power of attorney. The bank denied it, flagged the account, contacted me to verify. I called them immediately, confirmed the fraud attempt, requested full documentation. They sent it within the hour. I forwarded it to Patricia with one word in the message body. "More ammunition." Her reply, "This is textbook elder financial exploitation. Combined with the assault and mail tampering, we have an overwhelming case. Start packing their belongings mentally. They're done." I stood at my bedroom window watching the sun sink toward the western mountains. Phoenix spread out below in the amber light, the city where Eleanor and I had built our life together, where we'd raised Jennifer, bought this house, worked and saved and planned for a future we'd thought would be peaceful. In the living room, I could hear my family arguing, Jennifer's voice sharp with panic, Michael's defensive rumble, Amber whining about having to move. They still thought they were winning, still believed their tears and threats and social media posts would force me to capitulate. They had no idea the trap had already closed around them. I touched Eleanor's necklace through my shirt, felt the warm gold against my skin, and allowed myself the smallest smile. 2 weeks until the hearing, 14 days until justice arrived. I could wait. 2 weeks later, I sat in a courtroom watching Judge Margaret Stone review documents at her bench. The emergency hearing had arrived. Patricia sat beside me, 2 accordion folders on the table before her. Across the aisle, Jennifer huddled with Carlson and Michael, all 3 avoiding my gaze. Judge Stone looked up, steel gray hair framing sharp eyes that had clearly seen through countless family disputes. "I've reviewed the evidence submitted by Ms. Morrison. The videos are particularly disturbing." Carlson stood. "Your Honor, this is a family dispute. Emotions are running." "Mr. Carlson, assault is assault, regardless of family relationship, and the mail tampering is a federal offense." The judge's voice cut through his excuse. "I'm issuing a temporary restraining order. Mr. Thompson will maintain a distance of at least 10 feet from Mr. Davis at all times within the shared residence. Any violation will result in immediate arrest." Michael nodded reluctantly, jaw tight. "The full eviction hearing is scheduled for July 2nd. Mr. Davis is within his rights to establish rental terms or request vacation of his property." Patricia leaned close as we stood. 2 months, but we're winning. The family returned home that afternoon. The restraining order changed nothing fundamental. Michael kept his distance physically, but the hostility remained thick as smoke. They refused to pay the $1,500, ignored every communication from Patricia. They were squatting in my house, betting I'd give up. Mid-May, I made a decision that surprised even Patricia. I want to sell the house. Silence on the phone then. Wilbur, that's radical, but strategically brilliant. Remove the asset they're fighting over. Exactly. She recommended Robert Santos, a real estate agent who handled difficult situations professionally. He arrived May 20th at 10 in the morning carrying a leather portfolio and digital camera. Mr. Davis, let's see what we're working with. I walked him through. He photographed each room, living room with family clutter pushed aside, kitchen dated but functional, bedrooms showing wear. He measured with a laser device, made notes on a tablet. Jennifer watched from the hallway, arms crossed, suspicious but not yet understanding. In the backyard, Robert measured the fence line. Jennifer stormed out. "Who are you? What are you doing?" Robert remained professional. "I'm a licensed real estate agent conducting a property assessment." She turned to me on the patio, face draining of color. "Dad, what's going on?" "I'm selling the house." No, you can't." She advanced, then stopped, remembering the restraining order applied to Michael, calculating whether it applied to her. "This house is ours. I grew up here." "It's my house. My name on the deed. My decision." Robert finished his measurements, thanked me quietly, left Jennifer standing in the yard looking stricken. The next day he called with his assessment. "The property is in good condition. Some cosmetic updates would help, but it's marketable as is. I'd list at $385,000. You should expect offers in the $375 to $385 range within 2 weeks." "How fast can we move?" "List it tomorrow. With the Phoenix market, you'll have offers by the weekend." "Do it." A week later, Robert returned with a company truck and assistant. They installed a large sign in the front yard, bright red and white, impossible to miss. "For sale," in bold letters, Robert's photo and phone number below. Jennifer watched from the living room window, face twisted with rage and disbelief. Within hours, the listing went live online. My phone buzzed with a notification. "Your property is now active on the MLS." I showed Patricia via video call. She smiled. "Perfect." The first showing happened 3 days later. A young couple, Sarah and Marcus Chen, both in their early 30s, walked through awkwardly. I'd retreated to my bedroom, but I could hear them moving through the house. Jennifer's family stayed put, glaring at the intruders. Michael deliberately sprawled on the couch, making them uncomfortable. The young woman's voice drifted down the hall. "Are the current occupants included?" Robert's diplomatic response. "The property will be vacant at closing." Despite the hostility, they were interested. Robert called me that evening. "They're making an offer, $383,000. $2,000 under asking, but they're pre-approved and want a fast close." "Accept it." "You're sure? You don't want a counter for the full asking price?" "Speed matters more than $2,000. Accept it." Meanwhile, Jennifer made desperate attempts to build a defense. I watched from my window as she approached Mrs. Patterson on the sidewalk. Their voices carried across the yard. "Mrs. Patterson, I need your help. My father is trying to evict us. Can you testify that I've been caring for him?" Mrs. Patterson's discomfort was visible, even from a distance. "Oh dear, I'm not sure I can do that. You've seen me here. You know I take care of him." "Jennifer, honey, I've seen you and your family living in his house. I haven't seen much. Caring, if I'm honest. You don't understand the situation." "I think I understand it just fine." Mrs. Patterson walked away quickly. Jennifer tried 2 more neighbors with similar results. Nobody would testify to something they hadn't witnessed. Late May, I met Robert at a coffee shop to finalize the acceptance. He spread the purchase offer across the small table, multiple pages of legal documents, pointed to signature lines highlighted in yellow. Initial here, here, and here. Sign at the bottom. I picked up his pen, a heavy silver instrument, initialed 3 pages carefully, signed my full name on the acceptance page. Wilbur Davis. My signature was firm, unhesitating. Robert countersigned as agent, slid the documents into his portfolio. "I'll submit this to their agent today. Closing is scheduled for August 15th. We shook hands. As I walked out into the bright June sun, my phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. July the 2nd is 3 weeks away. Are you ready? I typed back one word. Yes. I woke before dawn on July 2nd, dressed in the dark suit I'd worn to Eleanor's funeral 3 years earlier. Straightened my tie in the mirror, seeing my own face older now, harder somehow. I touched the necklace under my shirt, felt the warm gold through the fabric. Today was the day. Patricia met me in the courthouse hallway at 9. She wore a sharp business suit, carried those same accordion folders, now even thicker with evidence. We have everything we need, she said. Video evidence, financial records, medical documentation, witness statements from neighbors. Jennifer arrived moments later with Carlson, Michael, and Amber. We sat on opposite sides of the hallway, not speaking. The silence felt appropriate. At 10, we filed into the courtroom. Judge Stone took her bench, reviewed papers briefly, looked up. Ms. Morrison, you may proceed. Patricia stood at the podium. A screen had been set up for video presentation. She played the clip of Michael pushing me against the counter. The judge leaned forward, watching intently. This was recorded April 14th, the day before we filed for emergency relief. She switched to the financial spreadsheet. These are documented loans totaling $18,500 over 3 years, not $1 repaid. Next came my medical records. Blood pressure 152 over 95, documented stress-related symptoms. Physician notes indicate patient reports, hostile home environment. Each piece built an undeniable narrative. Carlson stood when Patricia finished, attempted to humanize Jennifer. Your Honor, my client has been living in her childhood home. There was an understanding, Judge Stone interrupted. Was there a written agreement establishing this understanding? No, but verbal agreements about property occupation need to be formalized. Mr. Davis attempted to do exactly that with the rental agreement. Your client refused. She gestured for him to sit. I've heard enough. The courtroom went still. I've reviewed all submitted evidence. The financial exploitation is clear and documented. The video evidence shows a pattern of intimidation and harassment. Judge Stone looked directly at Jennifer. Ms. Thompson, you were given reasonable rental terms. You refused. You were given multiple opportunities to vacate voluntarily. You refused. Jennifer's hands gripped the table edge. I'm granting the eviction. You have 30 days until August 1st. If you're not out by then, the sheriff will execute the order. Jennifer started crying. Michael stared straight ahead, stunned. Amber reached for her phone before the bailiff cleared his throat, meaningfully. Outside the courtroom, Jennifer approached me in the hallway. Her face was blotchy, mascara smeared. Dad, please don't do this. We'll change. We'll pay the rent. It's too late for that. Where are we supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. How can you be so cold? We're your family. I looked at her, really looked, seeing Eleanor's features in her face, but none of Eleanor's warmth. You had 3 years after your mother died to act like family. You chose to act like parasites instead. She recoiled as if I'd slapped her. Patricia touched my arm. Wilbur, we should go. The sale moved forward on its own timeline. Mid-July, a home inspector walked through with Sarah and Marcus Chen following. Jennifer's boxes were already stacked in corners, the reality of departure setting in. The inspector checked electrical panels, plumbing foundation. Water heater is older, roof has maybe 5 years left. Nothing major. Sarah asked me quietly, Have you lived here long? 40 years. Built most of the deck myself. Marcus smiled. It's a good house. Solid. It deserves a family that will appreciate it. Sarah understood what I wasn't saying. We'll take good care of it. That's all I ask. July 19th, one day before the deadline. A rental truck appeared in the driveway. I stayed in my bedroom, door closed, listening to the sounds of departure. Furniture scraping across floors, boxes thudding, Jennifer's voice giving sharp orders, Amber complaining about heavy lifting. Neighbors watched from their yards, witnessing the family's exit. A knock on my door. I opened it. Jennifer stood there, exhausted, defeated, covered in sweat and dust. Are you happy now? You got what you wanted. I didn't want this. You forced it. I'll never forgive you. I don't need your forgiveness. I have Eleanor's approval. That's enough. Her face hardened. I hope you're satisfied. I'm not satisfied, but I'm free. She turned away. Minutes later, the truck's engine roared to life. I watched from my window as it pulled out of the driveway, taking my daughter away perhaps for the last time. The house felt different immediately, lighter. The air moved more freely. I walked through the empty rooms as evening light slanted through windows. Every footstep echoed. In the living room, deep scratches scored the hardwood where the couch had been dragged. The master bedroom had a fist-sized hole in the wall, Michael's anger leaving its mark. The kitchen counter was stained. A cabinet door hung crooked. I photographed everything with my phone, narrating quietly. July 19th, 6 p.m., documenting condition after occupant's departure. I wasn't planning to pursue them for damages. I'd already won. But the documentation felt necessary. Final proof of who they really were. Standing in the center of the living room, I held my phone displaying the trail of destruction. Gouged walls, stained floors, broken fixtures. I didn't feel angry looking at these images. I felt validated. Eleanor had been right about everything. Her letter had prepared me for this moment, for these people wearing familiar faces but empty of love. Through the front window, the for sale sign stood in the yard with a red sold rider attached at the top. 4 weeks until closing. 4 weeks until I left this house forever. I touched the necklace one more time, then walked to my bedroom to begin my own packing. The quiet was extraordinary. After 3 years of chaos and voices and demands and hostility, the silence felt like a gift. I was free. 3 days after the family left, I sat at my laptop in the empty house, browsing real estate listings in Scottsdale. The silence echoed around me, footsteps, breathing, the click of keys, all amplified by absence. My packed boxes lined the walls, a lifetime compressed into cardboard. I'd set specific search parameters: 2-bedroom condo or apartment, safe neighborhood, under 200,000, starting over at 67, entirely on my terms. The first property I viewed felt wrong. Too modern, all glass and steel, no warmth. The second was ground floor, which made me uneasy after years of feeling vulnerable in my own home. Then the realtor showed me a second-floor apartment in a quiet Scottsdale complex. It's a 55-plus community, very quiet, very secure. I stepped onto the balcony. Mountain views, afternoon breeze, other residents my age walking dogs below. The complex had a security gate, cameras, a community room I'd probably never use. "Can we make an offer today?" She looked surprised. "Of course. What are you thinking?" "Full asking price, cash, no contingencies." By early August, the purchase was finalized. $195,000. I used Eleanor's hidden money and part of the house proceeds. No mortgage. The freedom of that felt extraordinary. I spent a week transforming the second bedroom into a workshop. Unpacked power tools still wrapped in factory plastic. I'd sold my old equipment years ago when Jennifer's needs consumed my time and space. Now I set up a workbench, installed pegboard for tools, arranged storage bins methodically. The table saws whir when I tested it was deeply satisfying. Familiar. I selected oak from my first lumber purchase, began cutting pieces for a shadow box, for Eleanor's necklace. Sawdust filled the air. For the first time in years, I was creating something, rather than managing someone else's chaos. August 15th arrived, closing day. I met Sarah and Marcus Chen at the title company. Bland office, beige walls, stack of documents. We sat across from each other at the conference table. The title officer explained each document. I signed page after page, my signature automatic, from decades of engineering contracts. Sarah slid an envelope across the table. "We wrote you a letter. For later." I accepted it, tucked it in my jacket. Marcus handed over a check for the remaining proceeds. The title officer passed the house keys to the Chens. Sarah's eyes were bright. "Thank you for trusting us with your home." "Make it yours now. That's what it needs." I walked out carrying only a box of photos and Eleanor's necklace. Didn't look back. Drove directly to my new apartment, unpacked my minimal belongings. That evening I sat on my new couch in the quiet space that was entirely mine. Opened Sarah's envelope, read their letter. "We want you to know we understand the sacrifice you made. We'll fill it with love and laughter. You gave us more than a house. You gave us a future." I folded it carefully, placed it in my desk drawer beside Eleanor's letter. 2 messages of hope from 2 different sources. Meanwhile, I'd opened a new bank account at a different institution. Transferred approximately $210,000 after all purchases and expenses. Set up automatic payments for utilities, HOA fees. Everything organized with the precision I'd once applied to engineering projects. For the first time in years, I reviewed my accounts without anxiety, without wondering what Jennifer had taken or Michael had borrowed. She tried calling me. I watched her name appear on my screen, let it go to voicemail, didn't listen. Another call. Another. I opened my settings, scrolled to block contact. Confirmed. A text from a different number. Michael's. You owe us. We're family. Block. Another from Amber's number. Grandpa, please answer. Block. I changed my number the next day. Gave it only to Patricia, my doctor, and the complex security office. Late August, a knock on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole. Jennifer stood there looking exhausted, desperate. Dad, I know you're in there. Please, we need to talk. We made mistakes, but we're family. I backed away silently, sat in my armchair. Her voice continued, muffled through the door. We're struggling. We can't afford... Please, Dad. More knocking. A door opened down the hall. A male voice. Ma'am, if you don't leave, I'm calling security. Jennifer. This is my father. He's not answering. You need to go. Footsteps retreating. Finally silence. I felt no guilt. I felt free. That evening I stood in my workshop working on the shadow box. Oak with dovetail joints, requiring precision and patience. I applied wood glue carefully, fit the pieces together, clamped them to dry. When it was finished, I mounted Eleanor's necklace inside, hung it on my living room wall in a place of honor. The gold caught the lamplight, glowing softly. I walked to my window, looked out at the Scottsdale Mountains, darkening against the orange sky. Tomorrow was August 28th, 3 years since Eleanor passed. I had plans for that anniversary. Good plans, peaceful plans. 2 days before Eleanor's anniversary, I sat in Patricia Morrison's office one last time. She slid a document across her desk, my newly finalized will. It's official. Everything goes to the 3 charities, as you specified. Your daughter is explicitly excluded with an explanation that she's already received what you consider her fair share during your lifetime. I read the relevant section aloud quietly. To my daughter, Jennifer Davis Thompson, I leave nothing, as she has already received substantial financial support during my lifetime and has demonstrated through her actions that she values my assets more than our relationship. I initialed each page, signed all 3 copies. Patricia and her paralegal witnessed. The notary seal was applied. You're protected, Patricia said. She showed me another document, a medical report from Dr. Sarah Patel, geriatric specialist. Jennifer tried to file for guardianship, claimed you were mentally incompetent to manage your affairs. I wasn't surprised. I arranged for a comprehensive evaluation. The results, cognitively sharp, physically healthy, fully competent. Her petition was dismissed immediately. I felt vindicated but not shocked. I'd always known I was fine. Jennifer was the one who was broken. Patricia handed me another letter. This came from Carlson yesterday, requesting family mediation to repair relationships. I read it once. The desperation was transparent. Jennifer needed money, hoped reconciliation might lead to some inheritance. No, I said simply. I'll draft a response declining. The matter is closed. Thank you, Patricia. For everything, she smiled. It was my pleasure, Wilbur. You deserve justice. August 28th arrived. 3 years exactly since Eleanor's death. I woke before dawn in my new apartment, made coffee in my small kitchen. The familiar ritual felt right. I carefully removed Eleanor's necklace from the shadow box, held it in my palm. The metal was cool, the heart-shaped locket perfect. I opened it. The tiny space where her note had been hidden was empty now, but I remembered every word. I sat in my armchair, necklace in one hand, her letter from my desk drawer in the other. Read it again. Be strong. Live for yourself. I did it, Eleanor, I whispered to the quiet room. I'm free. Tears came, not from sadness, but release. She'd saved me even after death, given me permission to choose myself over obligation. You were right about everything. Thank you for not giving up on me. I returned the necklace to its place of honor on the wall, where it caught the morning light. That afternoon, I met Dennis Morrison at a Starbucks in Scottsdale, an old friend from my engineering days, someone I'd lost touch with when Jennifer's family consumed my life. He was there first, gray hair, warm smile. We shook hands, the gesture turning into a brief hug. I tried calling you a few times over the years, Dennis said as we sat with our coffee. Always went to voicemail. I was occupied. My daughter and her family moved in after Eleanor died. Understanding dawned in his expression. Ah, that kind of occupied. We talked for 2 hours, about Eleanor, about engineering projects from decades past, about Dennis's grandchildren. Finally, I said, I'm living alone now, by choice. Dennis grinned. Good for you, Wilbur. That wasn't living before. No, but it is now. How about chess next Thursday? Prepare to lose. You're on. It was the first social engagement I'd made for myself in years. That evening I stood in my workshop, working on an oak box, dovetail joints, requiring precision and patience. I'd built the shadow box for Eleanor's necklace. This box had no specific purpose yet. Maybe I'd give it to Dennis. Maybe I'd keep it for my own small treasures. It didn't matter. What mattered was that I was making it with my own hands, in my own time, for my own reasons. I applied glue to the final joint, fitted the pieces together carefully, ran my hand over the smooth wood, feeling the grain. The satisfaction was profound. As I worked, I thought about the journey, Eleanor's letter hidden in the necklace, the discovery of her savings, the legal battle, Patricia's expertise, the house sale, this new beginning. I didn't feel victorious. I felt balanced. I cleaned my tools methodically, swept the sawdust, examined the completed box in the light. The joints were perfect. I set it on the workbench, satisfied with my work, turned off the shop light and walked into my living room. Eleanor's necklace glowed softly in the evening light from the window. The gold caught the last rays of sun, throwing tiny reflections across the wall, like stars, like promises kept. I walked to the window, looked out at the Scottsdale Mountains, darkening against the orange sky. My phone sat silent on the counter. My number, my contacts, my control. Tomorrow I'd meet Dennis for chess. Next week I'd finish another project in my workshop. The month after that, who knew? The future was unwritten, and for the first time in years that felt like freedom rather than fear. I touched my shirt where the necklace used to rest against my chest. It was on the wall now, visible, honored, but no longer armor. I didn't need armor anymore. I smiled, a genuine, peaceful smile, and turned toward my kitchen to make dinner. Just for myself. Exactly enough. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.